first thing I have to say is thank you, Caroline. I say that both for this moment and much more for everything you've given to our party over the last 4 years. For representing our party with such credibility, with such passion, and with such good humour. And for showing, once again, that whenever we are given the chance, we Greens deliver. Caroline is not just the first Green MP, not just a great constituency MP fighting for all the people of Brighton. Of all the new MPs elected in 2010, she was the one chosen by journalists of The Spectator to be the Newcomer of the Year. That's not a surprise to us. We already knew how good she is. But it was a surprise to the wider world, given that we, the Greens, aren't always taken seriously. And it was a surprise to the Tories, the Lib Dems and to Labour, who don't want that competition. So thank you, Caroline, for what you've done and for what you will do next. Representing Brighton Pavilion, campaigning for justice, and for representing Brighton for many, many years to come. I must also especially thank Adrian Ramsey, who's sitting up the back up there, who served 4 years as Deputy Leader. Words about Adrian: calm, unflappable, a man of steely determination. He's been the key driving force in taking Norwich Greens to being the major opposition party in the city. And as Deputy Leader, he's taken that model of success and spread it around the country. And in thanking Caroline and Adrian, I am, in a way, thanking all of you. They represent the Green Party. They represent you and all that you have achieved over those years. There's the great work by Jean Lambert and Keith Taylor, Jenny Jones and Darren Johnson, and many scores of councillors up and down the country. To all of you, to everyone in this room and everyone not in this room, well done and thank you. So that's the history. Now we come to the present. First of all, I would like to say a thank you to everyone who voted for me in the leadership election, and also a thank you to everyone who didn't. However you voted, you participated in an historic step for the Green Party, another stage in our coming of age as a political party. I would also like to thank my fellow candidates for the leadership. We had a truly green leadership race, conducted in a spirit of understanding that to debate the future direction, to discuss our approach for the next 2 years, that was a positive step for the party. One of the moments I most look forward to in the coming 2 years will be, I think, in about 18 months' time, when I congratulate Peter Craney when he becomes the MVP for the North West region. I also look forward to working with Remain Phoenix to strengthen our campaigning and the mobilisation of the resistance against the cuts, and with Pippa Bartolotti as leader of the Green Party of Wales. It's right that this historic conference is happening in Bristol, a city where the Green Party is making great strides. When I first arrived in Bristol yesterday, practically the first thing I saw was the Sustrans office. And I thought, yes, this is our kind of city. I further warmed to Bristol when 2 table tennis players out on the green in front of this hall agreed to stop playing table tennis for a couple of minutes for the Channel 4 sound man yesterday. I was even more impressed when they said, "We wouldn't have stopped for the Tories." You've already heard from the very impressive Daniela Radici, Bristol's mayoral candidate, and I'm sure you will have formed the same view as I have. The Bristol Party is a great example of a strong local Green Party. As I said during the election campaign, we've already got a tremendous number of activists up and down the country working flat out for their local communities. Parties working extremely effectively with limited resources. The fact is, we can't work any harder than we have in the past. But here in Bristol, in the West Midlands, in many other places around the country, we are working much smarter. That is the way to go. So there's lots to be proud of. But let's be honest with ourselves. We've still got a long, long way to go. During the leadership campaign, I spoke about making us a truly national party. As Caroline said, in London in May, we became the third largest party. I want to see us become the third party in the East Midlands, in Yorkshire and Humber, in Cornwall, all around the country. And then I want to move on forward from that. We want councillors in every major town and city around the country, in every county, in every district, and an MEP in every region of England and Wales. That is very, very important for Britain, and voters are coming to realise that. Voters increasingly understand that decades of neoliberalism, privatisation and support for the welfare of multinational companies over the welfare of people, as championed by First Labour and now the Coalition, have failed to deliver even the basics of a decent life to millions in what is still, after all, the world's sixth richest economy. Voters are seeking, hunting really desperately for new solutions, new idea, new representatives. That's what we have. Let's look at the current politics. The current politics has failed to house us. 1 in 10 London households is on a council waiting list. Private rents are soaring. The current politics have failed to feed us. Food banks are one of the fastest growing industries in the country. Global food prices are rising rapidly, and industrial agriculture is clearly failing. The current politics have failed to deliver stable, decently paid jobs for millions. Just look at the youth unemployment figures. Just look at the absolute scandal of 0 hours contracts. The current politics has failed to provide support to those lives people whose lives have been hit by illness or accident. Events that could happen to any one of us in this room. It's also failed to provide a serene, financially secure old age. Old age which we all hope is going to happen to us. Now that could be a litany of woe, and on one level it is. But on another level, the green level, it's an opportunity. We know that even if socially all was rosy, we couldn't continue as we are. We are treating the planet as though it was simply a mine and a dumping ground. As if we had a couple of spare planets sitting over there nearby, ready for us to hop into once we've trashed this one. And this isn't an entirely new story for the human race. It's worth remembering that. Once the Sahara was fertile, Once the Yangtze River Basin was as rich in plant and animal life as the Amazon is now. There are scars on this planet that will never heal. But in past decades, and even still today, that level of destruction is accelerating. Our soils are being eroded, our waters contaminated, the wealth of which of nature on which human life depends is under attack. Those who blithely say we can live as we do today because technology will cure the future, they're living on a fantasy planet. They cannot restore the millions of square miles of fertile land lost to deserts. They cannot draw the salt from the groundwater or replace these species already extinct. Science offers us much, but there's still much we don't understand. Complexities in ecosystems that we've scarcely begun to grasp. We know, we all know, that we cannot carry on as we are. And the story's much the same in what you might call human ecology. The rich are getting richer, scooping their ill-gotten gains into tax havens, pressuring governments into beggar-thy-neighbour tax cuts. And the poor, well, nearly 1 billion people, 1/7 of the human race, regularly go hungry. And even in wealthy countries like Britain, we know many parents are skipping meals so their children can eat. It's clear we need a fundamental change of direction, and we need it now. And it is the Green Party that has the radical vision of that change, the ideas, the plans to make it happen. Now, normally, under a Westminster system of government, you'd expect the drive for change to be coming from the largest opposition party, the Labour Party. Given their history, their birth out of the trade union movement, their links with the cooperative movement, that would make sense. But Ed Miliband's Labour Party is still championing nuclear power, still pushing for unsustainable growth, hasn't moved to support cooperatives and small business against multinational companies. He doesn't support the renationalisation of the railways. He isn't speaking out in favour of the minimum wage being a living wage. The Labour Party has not changed. It has not renounced its recent past. It hasn't changed direction. They are failing to offer a real alternative. And there's a good reason for that. They can't. For the coalition government is just continuing on from where the Labour government left off. The privatisation of the NHS, the Labour Party started that. Academy schools, which morphed into free schools, Labour championed them. The deregulation of the financial industries, the belief that the market would always know best, that bankers were infallible geniuses who should be left to run wild and free. The Labour Party, they embraced that.